Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video we are going through the final Aurora squad for the Thalassa Ravaged Realm. It is right after reset. We're going to do some team testing. I really think today is going to be the most interesting day because out of the Celestial Hypogean heroes, we have the two key heroes used in Dream Realm, Freesto and Harak both. And so I think we're going to be able to do some pretty crazy teams today because of course we can also put together a Corrin Rowan type team, which is good for battle drills bosses as well. Okay, so I think what my plan is definitely I want to use Freesto and Harak on team number 1 because then I can run 3 light bearers along with them and still have the light bearer buff tiles, and then on team number 2 we'll just have 3 light bearer heroes. There are a lot of good artifact options. Like as of right now, some of the top performing artifacts have been Tide Call spell, occasionally Arcane spell, Frontline and Resonating are also really powerful. So I'm not sure what we're going to go with first, but it is going to be Harak and Freesto. Now we have a couple options. We can go for the main Freesto in front of Harak, which is a good option because then he can have the energy generation. But if we're going to want to run Sonya, then we'll want to have Sonya buffing up Harak, and then this team like positioning doesn't really work, and we would want to have it maybe something like this, for example, and then we can have like another hero on the other buff tile getting buffed up by Sonya. This could work as well, but then you don't get the energy from the Crimson contract onto Harak. So those are basically the two type of teams that we're going to have to try. I'm thinking that definitely probably will want to have Sinbad in this team number 1. And maybe Tamesia as well. Tamesia has physical defense reduction from her Supreme Plus. After she charges, that will increase Harak's damage. And I'm thinking for the final hero, I'm not sure. Let's move over to team number 2. Team number 2, it could be Tide Call spell, and we go for like a Corrin Rowan type team, for example. I think this could be good. Corrin Rowan, and then we could just go for Sonya. Like, I feel like this would be a really strong team option. And then on team number 1, we could go for the frontline spell because actually a lot of our team is going to be in the enemy territory. And as for the final hero here, probably would just want to be Vala on the buff tile because she would deal the most damage out of any other hero. And we would just want to have everyone positioned in a way so that we would have the illusion getting devoured first. Faster illusion. But that is kind of an issue, right? Like our main Freesto. Oh, we could actually have it like this. Yeah, we could have it like this. Basically, the Devour order would be Illusion Freesto, then Tamesia, then Sinbad, and then the main Freesto. Or actually, we maybe want the main Freesto to be devoured next after that. We can do something like this. Let's try this team to begin with the Resonating spell onto Harak, because of course that will do well with him. It will give him like more energy generation, and when he's on the light bearer buff tiles, he is going to double cast his ultimate, which is going to be crazy, like the amount of damage he can get off, because the key damage from Harak is all from his ultimate ability. And if you can double cast it like with the shadow casting as well, it's just really powerful. Okay, so we actually devoured the Tamesia and the Vala. So I guess even though we tried to position in a way to not have it be devoured like that, it was unavoidable because they got low on health ratio. The other thing is the tentacles actually count as summons. So when Harak devours the tentacles, those should also give him a kill stack to power his own damage up. 16 seconds left and up to almost 50 billion damage. And with the Resonating spell, he is casting his ultimate really frequently, and that is the major source of damage. Sinbad's debuffs, I think, didn't last for long enough because Sinbad got devoured a bit early on. And let's see the team number 2. So team number 2 is pretty insane. The thing with Tide Call spell, though, is that because we only have 3 heroes here, even though we do have the Rowan, we're not going to be activating Tide Call spell as much as possible. So I'm thinking maybe we go for Resonating spell on this team, and we go for Frontline spell on the previous team. The Harak team will do well with Frontline, because most of your allies are going to be in the enemy's side. And then that can give them the damage boost. But technically frontline could even be working with this team because all of our heroes are on the enemy side as well. So not triggering frontline spell quite enough, I think. The other thing to think about is, will it be a good idea to ever go for Rowan on the energy tile with Heroic on team number 1? Because that will allow Heroic to cast more ultimates. We'll have to see the damage output. That was 41 billion with team number 2. So our team number 1, Heroic, did practically all of the damage. Vala didn't really do anything, and she just died really quickly. In team number 2, we had Sonya and the Corrin dealing a lot of damage, but that was pretty much it. Yeah, it is going to be difficult to figure out what is the optimal arrangement of heroes. All I know for sure is that Team 1 will have Frester and Heroic and 3 Lightbearers, and then Team 2 will have 3 Lightbearers. But then the question is, who are the best Lightbearers to power up this team further? Okay, let's try on Team number 1, let's try the Frontline spell, and let's try Resonating spell on Team number 2. Just to see the potential of Team number 2, because I think this Team number 2 we have here, and Corrin doesn't deal that much more damage than Sonya dealt in this fight. They both dealt a lot of damage. Okay, let's try one more thing. Let's try Sonya on this first team. Sonya. And who can we have her buff up? Maybe Sinbad and not Heroic. Heroic will want to be on the buff tile. We could have something like this. Yeah, this seems kind of crazy. But let's see how this one is going to do. And this team, it can be pretty much anything, right? We could try Merrily. Yeah, let's try Merrily. Let's see what happens. So team number 1, Illusion is frontmost, so he should be devoured by Heroic first. But you can't really control the HP ratio in this fight. And if the boss weakens one of your heroes, then Heroic can devour that hero. Like right here, everyone's still at full health. So Heroic decides to devour the Fresto Illusion, or just directly to the main Fresto, which is not good. But our damage is looking good. Sinbad is surviving for a long time here. Sonya buffed up the Tamesia and the Sinbad. The damage looks higher. The damage looks higher in this run, with also the frontline spell seems to be synergizing more with this team. Sonya survives for practically the whole fight. And Heroic is now going to solo at the end, along with his shadow. 58.3 billion damage is really high for team number 1. Okay, let's see how this team is going to do. Oh, one issue with this team is that Merrily might not be in range to trigger Corrin's bonus true damage, because he needs to have allies, I think, within 2 tiles casting 3 ultimates to trigger his empowered attacks. And Merrily sometimes can be outside of that 2 tile range. Rowan will always be there. But yeah, I think definitely you'll want to have like another damage dealer on the Lightbearer buff tile, because that will increase the damage dealt by a lot. And so even though Rowan can double cast ultimate to give you more energy, I think it's more important to have a damage dealer on that second tile. Now, of course, we're missing out on Sonya. And we're running the Resonating spell. We could try the Tidecall spell as well, but I don't know, I just had a feeling maybe Resonating spell would do better, because we only have 3 allies to try and trigger Tidecall spell, which doesn't seem like quite enough. So in total this would be 96 billion damage, and that is a new record. Or 98.6 billion damage. Heroic and Sonya both did a lot. Sonya is really key, I think, for this fight. And look at this, Merrily ended up dealing so much more than Corrin. So then in that case, we'll want to have Merrily with the Resonating spell instead of the Corrin. That will be better. Okay, what other heroes are we not using? Vala is kind of the only other hero that is not being used, which is a decent damage deal option, but she didn't do so well. Well, that was also because she got devoured early in the first team. Do we want the main Festo getting devoured so early? I'm thinking actually, I'm thinking that maybe we have We have the Frester survive a bit longer. And we have Temesia. Temesia get devoured earlier, but Temesia's gonna deal, she should deal a lot of damage with the frontline spell, because she'll keep getting the value of that. Yeah, I don't know, I feel like this seems like a pretty good team setup. The only thing to think about is Tidecall spell possibly better? For the second team, we're gonna go Resonating Spell onto the Merrily. We'll keep running the Quarren, I think, and we'll run the Rowan as well, for the energy generation. Okay, I want to try Tidecall Spell just to see what is going to be the damage difference. Because, like, for example, in yesterday's Sylvan Squad team, it actually ended up being that Tidecall Spell was the best for team number 1, even better than Frontline Spell. And I thought for sure it would be Frontline Spell. So I didn't even really try anything with Tidecall Spell, so that's why this time I wanted to give it a try. So this was really bad. Sinbad got devoured early, followed by Temesia. The devour order was bad, but that was because of the low HP ratio onto the allies. So I think there's no way that this team is going to be able to get more than the 58 or so billion that we got with the other team. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this fight, everything went wrong in this fight. Frontline spell seems to be the way to go, especially when you have so many allies up in the front line. It could just maybe be down to like a better positioning you could try. But because Sonya deals good damage, I wanted to have her on the buff tile. Okay. So Merrily with the Resonating Spell, we just want to see how much damage she can deal. Because in the previous team that we tried with Quarren with the Resonating Spell, this team did around, I think, 40 or 41 billion. Let's see with Merrily with the Resonating Spell if it can do more. The Lightbearer buff tile is crazy because you have access to Frester and Harak as well. And like Harak on the buff tile just seems insane. The fact because his ultimate hits so hard and being able to double cast it is really big. Yeah, I have a feeling Frontline Spell team number 1 is going to be best. And then team number 2 Resonating Spell is probably going to be best. That's what it seems like. And probably Resonating Spell onto Merrily, because she is your harder hitting damage dealer. Vala doesn't seem to be, I don't know, because Vala kind of only gets value when the boss is below 50% health, and for these Ravaged Realm kind of like infinite health bosses, or seemingly infinite, I don't think that actually ever triggers. Okay, this got a little bit of a higher score, 41.7 billion damage, so it does do better with Resonating Spell on Merrily. It seems like. Yeah. Okay. Okay, guys, so we've used up 10 attempts. Basically, what I found out is that Vala is not doing as much as Quarren on the secondary tile. So, I think it's just better to be running Quarren, for example, in this team. Quarren and Merrily and Rowan. And I think that's a really good, solid second team with the Resonating Spell. Now, for team number 1, the team that got the highest score, which we got really early on, actually, was this team number 1 in this formation. Main Frester in front of Harak, Frontline Spell, Illusion in front of Temesia, and then Sonya on the buff tile with Sinbad. This did the best, but it was like pretty much the perfect run, right? Like, we devoured, Harak was able to get his devour stacks, Sonya and Sinbad were able to survive for long enough to get off as much damage as possible, and so this first team ended up dealing pretty much as high damage as you can ever expect, like 58 billion, and that is huge. So anyway, guys, I am happy with the team testing for today, and if there are any other key big teams that come out, then I will let you guys know later on today. Also, there was a improvement to the Sylvan Squad team yesterday. I will recap all of the top teams for all of the different 4 squads for Ravaged Realm thalassa after like maybe the end of today, and then we will make a magic charm guide on what are the most important charms to craft in order to like get your highest score for Ravaged Realm. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. That is going to be it for this video. I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now.